Okay, we've gone over each category of elements of style in depth. We've done examples where we isolate each category and pick them out of an outfit so you can identify them and apply them to your own closet. And now it's time to put them all together. The easiest way to do this is to just practice. I have 3 outfit examples that I'm gonna shop my closet for, but before we do that, I'm gonna break them out into elements of style. I have an entire playlist where I do this on my channel. I'm gonna link it in the description box for you. And we also do this live and in real time in my live Shop Your Closet virtual events, except we don't do my closet, we shop the closets of 2 guests. You can see how that breakdown looks and feels on different bodies and different styles. The more you practice, the more of a habit and mindset it becomes. So my suggestion would be not to stop at this video. Go back and watch the Shop Your Closet playlist and do it yourself at home. Let's start with this first look. This is from Cezanne. I love finding retailers and brands whose aesthetic I really like, but also whose styling I really like. Let's start by identifying the style vibe. I'm describing it as chill, modern, classic, and French chic. A little bit of like that preppy factor with this sense of ease and effortlessness. If we're looking at the shape, let's start with silhouette. There's a really nice sharp structure happening in that leather jacket. And the denim is, I would say, more of a relaxed fit. It actually feels a little bit slouchy because the jacket is so crisp and clean. There's also a nice juxtaposition between slouch and structure in the tops. Finally, when it comes to the proportions, this feels very balanced to me. The fit on all of this, from the jacket to the jeans, is pretty classic and relaxed. I wouldn't say any of these pieces are overly oversized or voluminous. Now if we're looking at the vertical proportions, here we've got a high waist and what I'm guessing to be a long hem. This also creates a nice vertical line on the bottom. I've seen these jeans merchandised on their website before in other contexts, and they are pairing them quite often with a chunkier loafer. And because it's a long hem, there isn't too much of a horizontal break at the bottom. And one more quick note about the proportions on this look is that the horizontal line is still happening at the higher waist level. Finally, if we're looking at our styling tweaks, the first, as I mentioned, is layering. We have 3 layers on top. And with that layering, there's a really neat mix of tonal and contrasting color combinations. The tonal is happening with the sweater and the little leather jacket, but there's a pretty high contrast with the baby blue of the denim and the baby blue and white striped shirt underneath. They have their sleeves cuffed a little bit on that top layer. And finally, I noticed that the collar isn't sticking out of the neckline here, so it doesn't feel too messy. Now that I've broken this down, I'm gonna shop my closet for it. There are a lot of elements that we named in this look, but the ones that are the most important to me are the elements of layering, the cool color contrast, and that mix of silhouettes. I'm not trying to perfectly copy the look by copying every single element that we talked about. Instead, I'm going to reprioritize what's important for me. I know I liked the color contrast and the tonal play, so I'm already getting the tonal play with the navy blue, the blue stripes, and the blue denim. I can easily get contrast by just adding a different colored jacket. If I wanted to create a more elongating proportion, I would add a pointier shoe that has less bulk. But to me, this look has that sense of ease and practicality, so this is something that I would want to wear that I can go out and be on my feet all day. So the sneaker made sense to me. So again, I wasn't prioritizing proportions, I was prioritizing the layering and the silhouettes, which I really liked. This was a good outfit for me. The second look is by a really cool brand called Torrid, and this immediately attracted me because of just how sexy and the vibe and the energy that this model is giving off. The vibe that I'm getting from this look is cosmopolitan energetic, modern, edgy, and bombshell. The silhouette here is soft versus structure. Even though the silhouette of that mesh top is pretty boxy, it's mesh. It looks really soft. When it comes to proportions, I would say this is fairly balanced as well. We have volume on top of volume, right? That shirt I wouldn't say is too oversized. It's definitely boxy, but I don't think the denim is oversized or too voluminous either. They definitely match the boxiness of the sheer top. But the reason why her frame isn't being overwhelmed is because of the sheerness of the top and those striking horizontal lines with the bandeau. We can still appreciate her figure with the high waist and the long hem. It's a really nice visual balance between horizontal lines and vertical lines, as well as volume versus fit. When it comes to the styling, layering is one of the styling tweaks here. Even though it's like, okay, you just put a shirt over a bandeau, here it feels so much more intentional because the shirt is completely sheer. So you have to be cognizant about what's the shape, what's the line that you want to happen underneath the sheer. The neckline, that's going to affect the vertical and horizontal lines in your outfit. I noticed that there are minimal accessories, and I think this is because the sheer top with the bandeau and the ripped denim, there's a lot happening here already. I put big bombshell hair. Finally, texture mix is another big one. I think we often underestimate the denim, even though it feels very classic. The roughness of the denim and the cotton adds tension to pretty much anything else you pair with it. So pairing it with something that feels sexy and alluring, like a little bit of tension via texture. So now that we've got all of those elements combined, I'm gonna shop my closet for them. And again, I'm gonna pull out and prioritize the elements that suit me most. The elements that I really liked here were actually the style vibe. So I have this really great top that I feel very sexy and bombshelly in, so I'm gonna go with this, but I also love that tension with the rougher denim. So I'm gonna tuck the top in because this top isn't as sheer as the one in the example, so I'm not getting as much definition when I leave it untucked. Even though technically the silhouette of this blouse is boxy, I'm not gonna follow the silhouette, the exact silhouette of the look just for the sake of copying it. Instead, I'm going to tuck it in, create a little bit of waist definition, and add a shoe that I really like. I want to show you really quickly what it would look like if I cuffed the jeans here and changed the proportions of this look. This doesn't look bad at all, but do you see the horizontal line that's happening on the ankles here? Now, I love the idea of these cuffed jeans. My denim aren't ripped, so I like that the cuff gives it a bit of that like rougher vibe, but the horizontal line break was bothering me a little. So instead, I'm going to swap out the shoe for this nude one. Do you see how that creates a more lengthy proportion here? This third example is really fun. I would describe it as cool, modern, scholarly, and having a sense of ease. So if that's the energy that we're getting, how are the silhouettes playing into that? There's a really cool mix of sharp lines with the shaft of the boot, the strictness of the skirt. Then we've got this softer, slouchier leather jacket, which depending what it was paired with, wouldn't come across so slouchy. But because of the straightness and the structure in the boot and the skirt, all of a sudden that leather jacket feels a bit softer. So a lot of these silhouettes, that spectrum that we talked about can also be affected by what we're pairing it with. Proportions here are a lot of fun, and to me, that's what I'm going to prioritize in this look, is using that really great drama, this very drastic difference in the volume. We're seeing this big oversized leather jacket. Not only is it taking up a lot of space in this look volume-wise, but it's also quite long. And again, this length is underscored because it's been paired over a really short mini skirt. The top 2/3 of this look is what we're focusing on. You could also argue that because the boots are knee-high, we're dividing the body into 3 that way, with one big chunk on top and 2 smaller thirds on the bottom. If we're looking at proportions from the sense of horizontal lines, there are quite a few visual breaks in this outfit. We've got the top of the boot and then the hem of the skirt and jacket. It's not overwhelming the body because we're getting a lot of skin, but this isn't to say that if you don't want to show that much skin that you couldn't put a cool tight or stocking underneath as well. We would be able to appreciate the length of the leg because the stocking would be super fitted, so we're not losing the form of the body. Finally, when it comes to the styling tweaks, we've got a really great mix of styles. We've got the toughness of the leather jacket with the preppiness of the sweater, and of course the kind of va-va-voom drama and the juxtaposition with the leather boots. I also liked what they did with the color coordination here, matching the purse with the sweater. And I also like how they did a little bit of this like analogous twist, pairing browns with the red as well. Lots of layering. They've left the shirt untucked, they've left the sleeves long. So now I'm gonna shop my closet for this look. Of all of the elements of style that we listed in this example, I loved those dramatic proportions and the layering. I also liked the vibe that gave, something that felt a little bit effortless, but I don't really need to go that whole like collegial or scholarly route. I don't have a oversized leather jacket, but I do have an oversized vintage denim jacket, so I'm going to use this instead. I do have a mini, and while the hemlines don't quite match, the mini is high enough to give us that dramatic proportion being worn with those knee-high boots. So all I've done is layered my button-up underneath a sweater, underneath my oversized denim jacket, and I think I'm really loving the proportions that I've created here. Okay, now that we know how to take outfits and identify elements of style and shop our own closet, these elements of style can be really helpful when you're shopping. You're going to want to be able to, and I know you will be able to, eventually point out the recurring themes when you're looking at a bigger picture and not just one isolated outfit. So to practice that and to understand which elements you really like best, the best place to start is your closet. Give yourself time to do a little bit of a closet audit. We are also taking time to reconnect with ourselves. And the more you know yourself, the easier it is to express that through clothes. So don't skip this step. The more you create outfits using what you've already got, you'll be able to easily identify true gaps in your wardrobe that are more pragmatically focused. The next thing you can do is start a mood board. Once you've started to compile this inspiration, have a look at what you're drawn to and see if you can pull strong elements of style out of that as well. What are the silhouettes? How are people wearing their proportions? And how would that translate to your own body and your own proportions? Your mood boards will inform your wish list as well. Another way to find your elements of style that you want to start prioritizing is by taking daily outfit photos and starting an album for yourself. I usually do this for spring, summer, and one for fall, winter. It gives you this bank of imagery that you can start pulling themes out of. Now you've got 3 ways to collect data on which elements you are most attracted to and that you want to prioritize. Before we actually get into the shopping piece, I want to touch on your wish list. Similar to your mood board, you would save or pin images and just keep them in an album. The cool thing about having a visual is that you can again start pulling out themes and identifying if there are some outliers. Now that you are armed with the elements that you know you like and your wish list, when it comes time to add something to your closet, it'll be so much easier for you to pinpoint items that are more in alignment with your style. If you're shopping online, I would highly recommend using your favorite silhouettes in the search bar. Typically, I find the most consistent thing that people have over time are the shapes that they're attracted to. If you're shopping in real life, I would use the elements that you love and your style vibes, those word descriptors, as your parameters. If you're struggling with whether or not you want a piece, this is where they can come in. Ultimately, once you start going into stores with this mindset that you're looking for elements and that they can be manipulated. You start to take the power back, and you start to be the person who dictates how the clothes are worn and how you feel in them.